this week's unshot film, Ilford SFX 200. Hello and welcome back to Harry Shoots People. Recently, I had the opportunity to go and shoot my friend Ralph's upcoming EP cover, so I decided why not carry on the second week of Film February and shoot a film I've never shot before. Good morning everyone, I'm sure everything's already been introduced to you, but today is the day that we're going to go shoot Ralph in Manchester for hopefully his EP cover. Taking the Contax 139 quartz with us. I've got the 50mm lens on at the minute and I always forget it, so I'm going to bring my 135 with me as well. I'm not sure which film we're shooting yet. It's either Across 100 or SFX 200, but I'm pretty sure we're shooting black and white. We'll just see how it goes. I've got a little bit of Kodak Gold left in there, so I'm going to use that to like warm up. And of course it is lovely and raining, so let's head down to the train station. So we arrived in sunny Manchester, as you can see, lovely. Just heading over to Ralph's now, and I've sort of planned semi-inspirations on the train, but just gonna see what happens when we get there really. I think we're gonna take some pictures in his and then head more into the centre. So yeah, looking hopeful. If I had a reference for how I feel when I come to Manchester, it would be F.W. Murnau's film Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans, when they go to the big city and everything's crazy and opulent. That's what Manchester's like. Okay, so we're still on our way down to Ralph's, but I did pass quite a cool location on the way, which I'll show you now. Hopefully we'll be able to return to it because I just think it looks pretty cool with all the layers. Could have him poking out of one of them. Trying to keep my eye open on the way just for any cool spots. Still unsure as to whether we're shooting the A-Cross, but it's probably going to be the SFX 200 just because it is pretty grey out today. There you go. So we'll see. Week 2 of Film February. SFX 200. Let's see how it comes out. So we're here in Ralph's flat. This is Ralph. Hello. We're just taking some warm-up shots on the balcony, shooting the rest of the Kodak Gold, and we're going to go head out and find some locations. So once I got to Ralph's, I decided to take some warm-up shots out here on the balcony, which came out pretty nice. I do wish I had a 28mm here just so it was a bit wider, but like I said, I'm still happy with how these came out, and we were only really shooting the rest of the old roll to warm up. Three, two, one. I'm only getting one eye through it, which also kind of looks quite cool. Yeah. Boom! So we then headed out on a walk and we were sort of taking pictures along the way. Like I say, I was just trying to get through the gold so I could get to shooting the Ilford SFX 200. But like I say, I'm quite a big fan of these shots. The location we were at was quite cool. It was sort of like a levelled amphitheatre kind of thing with this cool grass hill at the top where I took some other shots. This one is definitely a standout from the roll though. I really like the pose here. It was Ralph's idea to do this pose as well, and I just think it's really funny. And I do wish that I hadn't got so much of the background in, but like I say, I'm still pretty happy with the image. After that, we took these pictures, which I really like. I think it's quite cool to shoot from a higher angle, and since the EP has thematic ties to lilies, it was just quite a cool shot. And I really like the sort of Notting Hill-esque offering of the flowers, but also simultaneously like it obscures Ralph's face. I just think that's quite an interesting shot. After shooting those last two shots of the lilies behind Ralph's ear, it was time to unwind the Kodak Gold and load in this week's unshot film, Ilford SFX 200.
There's like this can't end now.
Firstly, a little background on Ilford's SFX offering. On the website it says that Ilford's SFX 200 is a medium speed black and white film with extra red sensitivity, which makes it the perfect choice for infrared style shots. SFX 200 renders blue skies almost black and green vegetation almost white to create a stunning infrared look to your shots. Did I read this description before loading and shooting the film? No, of course not. But I loaded the film anyway and started shooting. This first picture of Ralph's in silhouette is pretty cool. I do wish I'd avoided getting the cars and the graffiti in, but to be honest, in Manchester it's pretty much impossible to do that. These two photos down a side street are also quite cool. The focus in the second one is pretty much spot on, and I just love how dark Ralph is compared to the rest of the image. It really highlights him as a subject. Unfortunately though, these shots under the bridge didn't really come out, just as there really wasn't enough light. I did try shooting the 135 here, but it just wasn't really worth it, and it's quite a slow lens comparatively, so they just didn't come out either. However, I knew this at the time, and once we got to the end of the tunnel, I decided to take another portrait just in case, which I'm a really big fan of. Our next location was this really cool looking pub, so we decided to kind of set up a scene and make it look like Ralph is almost waiting for a date, or he's sort of looking around, which I think came out really nice. And after those shots, we decided to head back to the cool spot that I mentioned earlier, the one that was really hopeful to get like a nice picture from, and just start shooting, and everything felt really great. So should we see how they come out? Yeah, unfortunately something went wrong here shooting the flash. I'm not sure whether it was that typical like infrared look, and because of how dark the scene was, something just messed up. But they're pretty underexposed. The images are kind of like, you can still see them, but they're just not what I was going for, which was really disappointing because I felt like they were my personal favourites from the day. But I guess that's just part and parcel of shooting film. For the last couple shots of Ralph, I decided to take some more portrait style ones. which aren't too bad, although I do wish they were a bit higher contrast. But I am a big fan of this one, of him holding the lilies. At this point, I headed over to meet my friends Louis, Max and Elliot, and happened across this scene on the way, which is very Trevor Wise Cup, day one New York street style photography, but I like it, it's fun. Later on, we headed back to Max's and we took these kind of portrait style shots, which I'm a really big fan of. It was nice getting to practice with the SFX like inside and shooting flash, and they all came out pretty nice. So, with the second roll of film February finished, what are my thoughts on the Ilford SFX 200? To be honest, it's a pretty mixed bag. I do quite like the film, although I was disappointed by how this infrared style was hyped up and not really delivered upon, at least in my images. I'm looking forward to shooting it more in the future and under different circumstances to see what kind of look I can get out of it. I think to test and to really get the best look out of the SFX 200, you would have to shoot it on a really sunny day and in somewhere with lots of nature outside. I think that would give you that sort of infrared style that the description describes. But at least you can see with my images that it works in other scenarios too. It's not just strictly limited to those shooting conditions. Hey guys, just before I forget, you can find Ralph and his upcoming projects here. Let me know what you guys thought of Ilford's SFX 200 and today's video down below. And if you'd like to see more of my photography or the rest of Film February, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.